Hello and welcome back to the Roads of Elden Ring. Today we will have a look at the area up here. This whole area we will have a look at. Maybe not the entire area, because there are certain things like the innards of this destroyed town right here, and maybe this poison part that I want to do in a separate episode, maybe. We will see how much time I have left and if I want to do it or not. Maybe this belongs to another episode. It's a bit difficult to strike a certain balance here. And what area still belongs to what kind of region, whatever. But today we are going to have a look at the Scadu Altus, I think it's called. And oh boy, that looks piss yellow. Ugh. Let's see. Scadu Altus. And what do we see in front of us? We see the Shadow Keep, I think it's called, whatever. With these weird... And it looks really weird. These streaks falling down. And it's kind of hard to see where this originates from. It looks like it would drops from in front of the keep down to the earth, but I think we have a look back there, it's definitely in front of the bridge there, but it goes behind the trees, so must be fairly far away. These weird streaks, they must be somewhere over here, right? Like they're in front of the bridge, but they go behind the trees that are probably over here, I guess. What a weird sight. But whatever. The first thing that we see besides this, I don't know if is it supposed to be beautiful? To me it's not really beautiful. It looks like, I don't like the color scheme. It looks really burned out, right? Like color burn. Is that how it's called? Like having these, that looks so unnatural. This color scheme. I'm not a fan of this color scheme. It's too much. It's way too much. But besides that, the things that we see, and of course besides the furnace golem over there, is another cross with Lady Ladder and the horn scent. So let's go over there and talk to them, I guess, and see what the message here says. First, activate this one, then we're grabbing that item over here, the monk's missive with the May the Best Win gesture, and we already have it equipped, that's good. Monk's missive says a letter bearing what? A terse message? Terse, is that how you pronounce it? And an illustration of a monk, his hands held together. Seek me to the east if you wish to pursue the way of the warrior. When you find me, you will challenge me to a bout. There's no need for words. Right. Which basically means you obtain the gesture and you have this message, go somewhere to the east. When you see him, do the gesture. Talking won't work. Let's see what this is over here. Shadow Tree Fragment, right? Yeah. And then I abandon here my heart, which is kind of fitting. This is somewhat in the middle of the soul area up here, at least. We do not count this mountain, like the Dragon Mountain, to this area, because this... I don't think this is something where Mikela even was to begin with, so something, it has to do with something else, I guess. So as you can see, I've decided to not go and take this path. This is for another episode. I want to do this one first. It gives me a few more options where I can go now. But whatever. Let's talk to Lady Ladder.
Hello again. Did you meet my compatriots? They're quite the congregation, from places as far and wide as you can imagine. Doubtless it'd have all come to blows at first glance, were it not for the charm kindly Mikula put upon us. This is what allows us to serve together, the work of a living god.
This sounds so wrong.
Wondering about the horn scent, are you? True enough. In any other circumstance, he'd be at our throats. Long ago, Queen Marika commanded Sir Mesmer to purge the Tower folk, a cleansing by fire. It's no wonder the horn scent holds the Erdtree in contempt. That aside, man is by nature a creature of conquest, and in this regard, the Tower folk are no different. They were never saints. They just happened to be on the losing side of a war, but it's still a wretched shame. Wondering about the horn scent. True enough. Long ago,
all right.
It's no wonder that aside,
Thought there was more dialogue than this.
But it's still a...
Let's go away with that. Right, it still sounds so wrong that they know that they are charmed, but because they're charmed, they're not angry about it. They can't be angry about it, and that feels so unnatural.
You have a knack for timing, my fellow. I found the site of a new cross. Take this.
Another new useless map.
Mikula has said as much himself. He wishes now to throw it all away. He says the act, though undoubtedly painful, will sear clean the Erdtree's wanton sin. The truth of his claim can be found at each cross. It is evidence enough to earn my belief. Go to the misshapen tree of Umbra. In that forsaken place, blood must spill. The blood of your fellows, the Erdtree faithful.
No, we don't give him Scorpion Stew. It doesn't matter. Yeah. There's a lot to cover here, but also not that much. We have a few landmarks. Of course, we have this to discover, and we will do that, but in another episode. I won't go into the water here. I will do this part, which is a fort, and this area over here, plus wherever this leads us to. There's a teleporter here. I leave this to another episode. And yeah, what will I do today? We will have a look at all of this. The scary thing for me is always, if you're getting too close to the keep, at some point the rune will shatter, the game will progress, so to speak. But I'm not doing lore here, really. And not so much mechanics, so this is fine, I guess. Poison, not sure if we will do that today. And let's just keep going and stick to the left side of the road for now. Because we need to start somewhere. And I don't want to go down there quite yet. I will cover the left side first. So, and I've already said I don't want to go into the water here, but there still is a set of grace that I want to grab in these woods over there. As you can see, there's a wandering undead giant down there, which is kind of always strange. Like the headless version, like a ghost or apparition. And then in this area, everywhere in this area, you will find like the Mesmers follow us everywhere. They're patrolling, they're searching, combing through this area. And this is an example. We have a knight wandering through these small woods here. And we already could see like a few soldiers standing around there. You can see the torch burning. Or is it a dog? No, it's a torch and a dog. Right? Yeah, that's a dog down there. So strange, the dogs. Don't they feel any pain? Whatever. Here's the site of grace, and you would think like this is a very strange point for the site of grace. And yes, it is. There's a small camp over here, and like we have this weird broken off wooden thing here, which probably holds a ladder now that I think of it. And it leads down there into the fort, into this area. And this is ultimately the way you're getting down there. But as I said, I won't go any further. We'll do this in another episode. So far there's nothing really special, and this is somewhat typical for the From Software games. Well, not really the From Software games, but for Elden Ring specifically, their real first open world game. After a major area, for example in this case Castle Ensis, you of course have a few bigger areas like this, like plain, almost like compared to other areas, very empty areas that are there to lead you to other places, right? And not only just one other place, like a transitional area, but to multiple other places. For example, we can go down here to the fort. There's some point of interest over here as well, like in this direction. This belfry over here as a point of interest would be number 2. Then we can already see on the map there's a branching path, so something down here is interesting, like this fort or fortress, whatever, castle down here. Then this town acts as another part, because this one ultimately leads to this area down here, and then into this direction and in this direction, and so on and so forth. We can also go through a cave here, where we'll end up in the poison area here, and then it goes to this part. So it's really opening us to how many different areas? Let's see. 1, 2, and ultimately, let's count this as 3, because this is a small dungeon. 4, another dungeon. I don't count this up here, this still belongs to the main area. 5, which is down here. 6 is down here, and 7. So this is a very important area. This one connects to 7 other areas, which is impressive. But it's this weird thing in between, which is not really weird at all, but whatever. What we will do now is we will not approach this camp. We will do this at the end of this episode, I think. Maybe. Oh, maybe not. First things first, we will go up here, because this is another important thing. There are 2 important things here. For one of them, we need a warming stone, and the other one is of course in this burned down church or cathedral. Here we can see more of Messmer's soldiers patrolling around, searching around for any survivors, I guess. But the real important thing is in here. So let's get in there and see what happens. Church of the Crusade.
Thou shalt not evade the flame of Messmer.
And we're getting invaded again by this dude with the weird ass haircut.
be. Forsake me not. Queen, my grace.
And this time we're getting the Ash of War Flame Skewer, which is the flame, the Ash of War that he's using with his weapon. And more importantly, we're getting the Prayer Room Key, which is important for a potential upcoming area over here. Then let's see what's in this church. Got a rune arc, very nice. The beheaded statue of Marika. With another Shadow Tree fragment. Let's see if there's something behind here. No, there is not. Shadow Tree fragments, of course, very important for this DLC's progression, making it easier for the player to, well, go through the game. And then there's this weird thing where I still don't know what this is supposed to be. It's not really fire, but it sounds like fire, but it looks like Estus, or similar to Estus from Dark Souls, but not really like Estus. Like, it's still something different, but it looks weird. Still looks like something that could be in our drink here in this in the Crimson Flask. And kind of would make sense. Well, maybe it would make sense. I don't know. Right. Another important thing that we have by going to this area. There we go. We have a Forager Brood. And this one is kind of cold. As you can see, it's like shivering. And this is where we need the warming stone. If we give them the warming stone, they will warm up. And they're good again. They keep foraging. Now the weird part, if I remember correctly, we can't really interact with him right now. So, for some reason, I don't know why. It feels like a bug. But if we were to quit out and rejoin, now we can talk to them. And they will give us a Shadow Sunflower and another cookbook that I already have. And this is something like... I'm still scratching my head. Why is this so terribly implemented where you have to reload the area by either probably resting at a site of grace or by turning the game off and on again? Or at least loading at the main menu, whatever you want to call it, to progress this. Maybe we can call it a quest line. This is so weird. This is such a terrible design, and I guess we can see the... If we look closely, we can see these black leaves, pieces of the bark of the tree floating around here. So, what have we seen so far? So far we have seen a Site of Grace and the Church of the Crusade, plus this Forager Brood over here somewhere, which is very important. Now we have the camp in front of us. This area over here. And everything that is down here. So, I think the next thing, while we're at it, let's go and visit the camp over here. The cool and weird thing is this furnace golem. I guess I went over or went into the trigger zone for this one to walk forward up to this point. He can in fact destroy all the tents, and I'm glad that this is not a mechanic, but what they could have done, and I'm glad that they did not, but what they could have done is hide items inside these tents. So that he has to destroy these tents with his big AoEs, which is fairly likely that he does that, for you to be able to grab these items. But I'm glad they haven't done this, because once he's dead and you've reloaded the area, the tents will reappear. Well, and there is no way for you to pick up these items. Of course, we have another Shadow Tree fragment here next to the statue. And then there's probably something inside some of these tents, maybe? Or maybe not. I mean, honestly, it wouldn't matter. I don't think so. Let's see, I wonder... where did he start from? Because I was wondering, how close was he to the keep to begin with? Couldn't have been right in front of the gate, right? Because then he would have destroyed these wagons before me now. Yeah, that's kinda strange. Let's visit this place up here. This small plateau. If you're wondering why I'm hesitant to go there, I don't want the rune to break quite yet, but I don't know why. There's no real reason for me to keep the rune intact right now. It just gives more dialogue that I will ignore in this episode, but whatever. There are two places where the rune can shatter. This is one, once you enter the keep, and the other one would be right at this point, because technically from this point you can also reach the keep from a different angle, but it doesn't matter, especially not for this episode here. But we can reach the plateau, which is nice, or this part of this area, where it's for some reason even more heavily guarded. So what I'm wondering now is, this is probably, yeah, this keep belonged once to the Horn's End, and it got conquered by Mesmer soldiers. So I wonder if this is part of the if these are the remnants of the siege. If they got really that close to the keep without getting bombarded by something, and then they've built up their tents and then somehow conquered it from, like, Mesmer probably just ran through it and killed everyone, and then his soldiers got in after him because he's just so powerful compared to everything else and in this DLC. And this must be it, right? Why else would you have this camp in front of here if the keep is already yours? It wouldn't make any sense to have these camps here. But as you can see, there's not really much to talk about here right now, I feel like. And I guess that's part of being a transitional place, like a place between places, is that there's not that much to talk about, lore-wise or world design-wise or game design-wise. It's so far we haven't seen, like, so far this is nothing new to this game. Like, we have another camp similar to the one that is in front of Castle, is still in front of Castle Ensis, and there are a bunch of Mesmer soldiers roaming around. Even the furnace golem is nothing new, really. So let's visit this other plateau, because there are some interesting, not really interesting, but there's something somewhat noteworthy. And let me grab a big bow here. Which one is the best big bow? with the current stats, this one. Because if we go up here, we can see this is where the perfumers are, and we can already hear that thing, the scarab in the sky. Chilling there, waiting for someone to shoot it down. This I can't use this bow from Torrent, of course not. Let's get this one. Or maybe not. Exploding one, and we're getting rolling sparks. And if I remember correctly, yeah, rolling sparks was once the strongest dash of war in the entire game, and now it's one of the, if not the weakest one. Isn't that great how From Software balances their game? From extremely broken to extremely useless. There's no in between with certain things. Because what it does, it's part of the the new perfume bottle Ash of Wars. One of 3, I think, and 2 you can obtain, and 1 is stuck on the poison flask, so I think there are 3 in total with the poison one. Where you would do an animation, and then in the direction you're looking or aiming at, you would create this this cloud that explodes after a while. And what it did before is, like, there were multiple hitboxes that would overlap, right? And every single hitbox, if it explodes, would deal damage. And because if you would aim that on the ground in front of you, all of the hitboxes would be in the same position, on the same location, and if you would hit that perfumer and look down and aim at his feet, they would all explode in the same location and deal a bunch of damage, like extreme amounts of damage. Because usually it's designed to not hit the same target multiple times, or just maybe twice or 3 times or something. But no, all of them would explode on the same target and would deal like insane amounts of damage. You could almost one-shot, or I think 2 or 3-shot the fire giant or something, right? From the base game, and he has a lot of HP. Was that broken, or that strong? And what they've done now is, instead of reducing the damage, thanks for the fog, or instead of doing something about it so that it deals less damage the more of these explosions would hit the target, no, they've done it so that only 1 explosion can hurt the target. Only 1 of all of them. And they haven't buffed the damage. Like, now it deals like 200 damage or something, instead of 10 million. It's so ridiculous. But whatever. Their decision to first grant us this thing and then take it away forever. What a terrible, terrible act of balancing. Whatever. Let's get out of this camp. There's not much to talk about here. And is it time? Yeah, I think it's time to quickly reset and make it daytime again. So it roughly takes half an hour to transition from daytime to night, roughly. And it's morning again. Good morning, everyone. So that was the left side plus like this top here, the small top side, the camp. Now let's visit this pond over here, which I'm taking this away. So, the pond is, or harbors something interesting. Something cool and interesting. An overworld boss, to be exact. And I think, I might be wrong, there is an armor set around here somewhere that one can pick up. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm misremembering things. But we have these soldiers here and it's like, it's all the same type of area, of course it is. Well, let's see. We're getting now into bear territory. And somewhere, probably over here, is that armor set. Maybe not. And I'm maybe completely blind, but it doesn't really matter. Like, there are woods here, there are a few bears roaming around, and it's still very dark. And we will soon encounter another weird mechanic. If I remember going there, I will. I'm remembering it right now. The weird summoning mechanic or summoning pool mechanic that doesn't really work on in the overworld. Ah, here we go. This should be the armor set, right? Yeah. Like, it was... I think this armor set was in the game from the beginning, and they've just decided to drop it into the DLC, but it was in the files before. And it was just glowing white. Like, not purple glow, not legendary glow, it's just white glow. What the fuck? And it's on a random ass corpse in the middle of the woods here. And then again the weird summoning mechanic where somewhere... I mean, okay, yeah, the player's coming from the main street part directly to the pond, and this is where they will find the nice armor set, the respawn thingy, and the summoning pool, hooray. Or maybe not, and then they fight this boss over there, which is a warming stone, which is a big bear. Let's take out the warming stone, which is a big bear over there. And this is like a rune bear on steroids, so hooray for a rune bear on steroids. But honestly, I like this more than every single rune bear ever, because this is a boss. Bosses are supposed to be strong. Rune bears are technically regular enemies. Why are they so strong and irritating? You know? And with rune bear on steroids, I mean rune bear on steroids. I will not fight this boss right now. I might do some videos later on certain bosses, or on bosses in general. And this might be one of them. Looks great though. Looks amazing. Look at the horns and the red fur. Small horns. Cool looking. Cool looking boss. I really like that. I really like that design. Looks amazing. Very imposing. Extremely large. I think might be even bigger than regular rune bears, but I need a comparison that I don't have right now. Luckily, I'm glad that there is no rune bear around other than this one. I'm happy about this, but we have regular bears, which is fine. They're also somewhat decently strong. Alright. Now that we have this one covered, we can keep looking around. Oh, of course it's raining. No episode without rain. But it's kind of fitting, these roads. They look really, really wet. For some reason. So, now we have still a lot to cover. There's quite a lot of stuff to cover here. So let's stick to the western side of this path for now. Because this way we're not losing the orientation. We're not losing the fight against the open world. If we are dividing it into smaller pieces, then we're not getting confused on where we were, right? And sticking to this side is, I think, a good option. Of course, we have another camp over here. We have a few items scattered around. Let's see. Is there something inside? No, but we have another shadow tree fragment. Hooray! And a cookbook probably lying around here. Then let's see if there's something inside this tent. No, if there's Amber of Mesmer lying around here. Which is important, pick up the Amber of Mesmer if you find any. You will find these mostly near these camps. Pick them up. And this is also, yes, I've crossed the line to the Morth ruins, but I'm not doing anything here. Just passing by. Let's go back to the western side of the road and explore it. So let's see, where does the road lead to? The road leads to this place. And I want to have a look at this one first. So let's go over here on Torrent, preferably. Now we're getting into a scary, scary lake. Probably the scariest lake of them all. Not really, but before that, let's see if there's something up here. Nope, there is not. Of course not. Why would there be something up here? Other than that one goat. No, this is of course the scariest lake of them all, because we have another crustacean inside the lake. And you don't want to fight these crustaceans. You want to avoid them. So you're sneaking up on them. Preferably not on Torrent. Grab this item. Go away. Then come from another angle. Sneak, if you must, to pick up this item, which is just a rune. And hopefully you're not breaking anything, because that will alert the crustacean, maybe. Potentially. And then you will find this item, which is hefty beast bone, and you're feeling betrayed. Feelings of betrayal. Maybe a bit of hatred coming up from software, whatever. And now we're back to Misbegotten. What a weird mix we do have here. And I wonder what the Misbegotten are doing here, if they were part of Mesmer's invading army, or if they're native to this area as well, because this is, I think, one of two locations, if I remember correctly, where we find Misbegotten here. So that is definitely very strange that we find them here. It certainly doesn't look like they originate from here, because these are ruins. And they're still alive. Because if these were ruins and they were dead, that would make sense, right? But if they're alive, they probably occupied these ruins at some point. Maybe they came together with Mesmer here. Or maybe not, who knows? Maybe they originate from this place and they are now rallying because the area got destroyed. Could be everything. It definitely looks like a rally here. They're all chanting or shouting towards the champion who is rallying them. Their leader, so to speak. But we also have a lot of these lying around. Some smithing stones. Then this item over here, surrounded by these archer must be such a troll item. Like, they're quite dangerous in masses. This one has the piercing throw. Then over there is another one. Somewhere over here at least. Up there where we need our bow. More smithing stones. Then a patrol of annoying archers. And let me tell you, holy shit, these archers are annoying. And then what else do we have here, right? We have this forge that we will explore somewhere in the future. But I survived this, right? Yeah. Let's grab the side of grace and get out of here. As usual. And while we're at it, mark this one. Always important to mark things, especially if you're not having that much time per day to play the game, or per week even. Who knows? Mark things so you're not forgetting them. And then where is it? There we go. Another forager brute. Giving us glint slab fireflies, holy shit. And another cookbook that I already have. And now I think it's time for... If I can get up there, then it's time for the water and for the dragon. The dragon, it's another dragon. The third one, if I remember correctly, we will encounter. But this one is not really special. The dragon itself is not special. But what is happening around the dragon is special. But first, let's have a look at the small pond with a few worms and a few angry worms on the ground and a dog. Obviously this is a dog, right? Is there something special up here? I can't remember. Like, this gives us an advantage point on this nice looking castle over there, and it gives us another view on the side of Grace down there. But other than that, there's nothing here. Other than these worm thingies. And this side. Nothing is happening. That is unfortunate. That is really unfortunate. Because usually what you would find here is this dragon fighting all of these soldiers. Maybe they need just some motivation. But not from me. The soldiers will lose eventually. The dragon is too tanky. But this is so strange, this phenomenon, because usually you would do this with a trigger, right? But apparently the trigger is the player being visible. Because that's the only thing that I've done here. I can't die, I have unlimited FP, unlimited stamina, and I'm hidden from enemies. But usually when I'm going into a trigger zone, a certain attack or something will still trigger. So this is not a player has to cross a certain area or enter a certain area for the event to happen. But this has probably something to do with the player being visible or not, which is interesting. So they've done a different zone, different kind of zone, which is kind of cool. I like that. So this area, this fort and its surroundings, I will do in a different video as well. But I'm grabbing the Site of Grace anyways. I really like talking about these technical things because I have no idea on how to program such things. I have no idea, but this is foggy. This is just from observation. Let me get rid of this fog. And I really like to talk about these things because I have no idea. It's actually it's actually fun for me right now. Talking about things where I have absolutely no clue about. So let's change the time of day, and I've teleported here. And hopefully the fog will lift itself at some point. At some near point in the future, like maybe in the next minute or so. Looks good already. So before we approach the Morph ruins and have a look around them, I want to go to this plateau over here. This one couldn't be reached by going from this area. We can't go over this part. What we have to do is we have to approach this part, and you can see here a spirit spring that is blocked. And just for the what is this? Oh, whatever. Some weird where is it? Do I have it? Do I still not have it? Aww. Whatever. Maybe I'm just blind, but... Whatever, I wanted to use Moke's check. Do I really not have these items? Or am I blind as fuck? With the bell, with this thing, these things, then... No. Then we have a bunch of miscellaneous consumables. Here we have like these things, like... No. I really don't have it. Huh. Whatever. And we have to use the normal way, I guess. Let's jump up here and see what's up here. Already we see death birds, so this might be a potential location for another piece of this armor set. But let's see, a bunch of destroyed statues. If we go this way, we can see why we couldn't get over here. It's just full of these weird rock formations. Another birdie. But what's on the pinnacle? We have another cross of Mikula over here. What? Yeah, there's another cross of Mikula over here with a Site of Grace. For some reason. And I'm really wondering why there's a site of grace here. Another shadow tree fragment, always nice. And one of Mikula's eyes. What can we do from here? Like, this is so confusing to me. We have a site of grace. Next to a site of grace. Where this one doesn't really serve a purpose other than the cross. Like, we can look down there and we can go there, but there's no progression from this point. This is a dead end. Like, we can't do anything from here. Like, there's no cave here. Is there a secret path down there? It doesn't look like it. I mean, you can try jumping down there, but I'm not trying that. Like, we can see that this fort has another side of grace on the back, which is interesting. We can see some abductor virgins down there. But other than that, this is the path where we came up, I guess. And then here we have this little foresty area, and that's it. That's the sole plateau area. We have one cross and nothing more, which is somewhat disappointing. Like, we even have a few deaf birds, but just a shadow tree fragment. How do I get down here? There we go. Very nice. So now, unfortunately enough, they don't want to fight, which is fine by me. Which means I don't have to talk over them. Visual storytelling is that this dragon, like, twofold. This dragon obviously destroyed these tents. Like, they look burned here. And they've been fighting them apparently for a long time here. I mean, right now they're not fighting, but just imagine them fighting each other. But at some point the dragon came... Excuse me for that. My throat is getting dry here. Do I have something to drink? I indeed do have something to drink here. So before I have to cough even more... I drink some water. I hope that remedies that. And as I attacked, because my controller was on my leg, and I guess I came, like, got triggered by my leg, whatever. I know my throat is still itching. That is unfortunate. But now, the only thing that is left is the Morph ruins, I guess. And this little area over here at this point to the north of the Morph ruins, which is this pond over here. Making weird sounds. This pond we will have, when I look at it now, there's nothing major interestingly about this pond, but we have this little cave. And we will explore the innards of this cave, plus this area that comes beneath or after it, in a later episode. So this is where I will draw the line here. We can have a quick look around if there's any item of interest, like this one maybe, not really. Or if there's anything interesting on the edges of the map right here, not really. Now the Morph ruins. which look, well, they look like ruins, but first and foremost they look similar to the Scorched ruins, so they're probably serving served a similar cause to the Scorched ruins. We certainly have a few, like a bunch of these dead people here, I guess. And the most interesting thing about these ruins is the hole, or the holes. Like there are these giant, somewhat giant holes inside these ruins where you technically can descend. I guess this is the major hole here. Yeah. But you have to descend somewhere over at this point. Yeah, this is where you go down, I think. There's even the item. It's kinda hidden, but you have to find the path at some point. If you're looking close enough, you will find the path down there, which will ultimately lead to this area down here. Excuse me. So there are a few things noteworthy here with these spurred ashes. The revered spurred ashes. Protected by a cursed blade. And then, if you want to have another shadow tree fragment, be careful. There's this dude with the pot on top of his head, who has another shadow tree fragment. But there's also hidden another cursed blade. This one just happens to have glowing eyes, which means they drop more runes on death. And it's getting foggy again, hooray. But these are already the morph ruins. Obviously something destroyed these ruins. Obviously. But what created this crater over here? Something must have happened here to create this crater. You can't tell me. Or maybe this was here before and then because of the attack it crumbled into the hole. That could be another thing that happened. We will have a look at that once we explore this area down here, because similar to this area over here, and this poison area, I want to keep this for another episode. Because we're already at almost an hour, and there's the small thing that we have to do with the NPC over here. Of course, another shadow tree fragment. Let's see which body part lies here. I abandoned here the flesh of my body, another part of his body. And then we have Dryleaf Dane over here, who does not talk. If we have a look at him, he bears his seal, I think it's called, right? The stuff you're casting with around his neck. So he's a faith user of some sort. And if we are doing the gesture, may the best win, this triggers this little cutscene. Oh, not cutscene. But if we have a look at the color scheme here, first of all, this kind of looks like a what's it called? It looks like a jail, like one of the what are these called? Like these circles on the ground where you have to touch, and then there's a boss fight inside these jails. This is what it looks like. This is probably the same mechanic they're using here. But if we have a look at the color scheme, it's all somewhat distorted, like there's a bleeding effect, the color burn effect, not a bleeding, color burn effect applied a bit. Similar to the one that you get when you're getting invaded by Ensham in the round table hold. I think in the round table hold it felt like the color burn effect felt more extreme. But we can feel it right here, I think, as well. So let's fight Dryleaf Dane, let's see what he's using. No, he's not fighting me. Now he's fighting, okay. Because he's using his special weapons, which are his fists and... Well, it's a new weapon type, right? It's the martial weapon type. He's using some of Mikula's incantations here. And he likes to punch. It's very loud. They give this one quite a bit of hyper armor, which is nice. But we haven't really killed him, like... He's not dead. That's why we... I know the sky returns, interesting. What are they called? Eternal Jail? No. Whatever. Like, he's gone now. He's not dead, he's gone. We have an item here, the Dryleaf Arts in his head. And... Grow not complacent, continue to temper your strength. He left this message for us. Which is also a nice mechanic. We finally fought a character without killing them outright. But yeah, he's gone for now, and we're now in the middle of the storm. Which looks kinda underwhelming. Whatever. So, anything else to say about this place? Not really. So, let's have a look at this whole area from a world and I guess game design perspective. I'm trying my best here. Let's start with the game design perspective. Of course, this acts as a point in between points, right? This is the road that leads to points of interest, and scattered around here we of course have some points of interest. Where we came from is Castle Ensis, that's our first point of interest. From here we can explore more of Castle Ensis, technically, and even more of Castle Ensis over here. I think this still belongs to Castle Ensis somewhat. Then of course we have the Church of the Crusade over here. We have a Forager Brood, that's what they're called. Then another camp of Mesmer's soldiers with an overworld boss fight over here. Technically the Furnace Golem is also an overworld boss, so already two overworld bosses here, an invasion over here, Forager Brood. Then if we go down here, somewhere here, whatever, is another Forager Brood. Another point of interest. We have a dungeon scattered around. 1, 2, 3 crosses of Mikula. Another overworld boss in the form of the dragon. Another dungeon, which is this castle here. Let's see. Nope, it's not telling us the name of the fort, of the castle, whatever. Then the Morph Ruins, which acts as another point of interest, because here we can get to this place down here and up here. That will be interesting. Then here in this pond we have a nice little cave that leads into this poison area that ultimately leads into like this whole area. And then of course we have the Shadow Keep. So I think, was it like 7, technically 7 points where we can keep going, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and of course 7, yeah. And many more points of interest scattered around. But it still kind of feels like uninteresting to me, personally, this place. Morph runes in particular, I would say this is one of the worst areas because, well, it might have some story. I don't like the gameplay, but we will talk about that later in another episode when we actually explore this place down here. So this place acts as a we came from a high and now we're going into a more chill exploratory low, which is well needed because remember we came out of Castle Ensis where we just fought the boss, and now after the boss, which is a high, an excitement, right? We're still excited, but we're calming down a bit at this point, right? Like we had a bunch of tension here, fighting this boss, beating the boss. It's not that easy, that boss, right? So we fought the boss, we're coming down again, and we will explore. And the enemies so far in this area, in this entire area, by themselves are not that dangerous. Yes, the Furnace Golem might be irritating, the Rune Bear here might be something, but you can, from these world bosses, you can always flee and come back later when you're actually prepared. So you don't have to commit to anything and you're not being stopped by anything. You can just walk past them, maybe evade some of their ranged attacks, and then you're in the next area, you can explore more. There is no hard stop for you. And even in Castle Ensis, if you can't beat this boss, you can still get to this place. Remember, you can go down here to the poison area, jump up a spirit spring, and this will lead you to this castle. And you can probably land somewhere here, or you can go somewhere through this castle to the main entrance, and you're on this plateau without fighting this boss over here, which is nice. So you can enter this place via a different route. But there's so much you can do here. What you could even do is just you can directly go here into the next area, maybe explore this later, or you can go down here and do this first. Like, you have so many options. Of course, if you're doing that, if you're doing it like this chaotically, then you have to be careful to not miss anything, especially on your first playthrough, but whatever. I'm not telling you how to play this game. Play it however you want to play it. There's definitely a progression path here, right? From Castle Ensis, we can decide, do we go down here because we don't want to do everything before this biggest castle, or do we go into the castle directly and keep exploring here? Everything is open to us, which is nice. We have choices, which is the amazing thing about Elden Ring. In Elden Ring, we're getting a lot of choices. In previous titles, there weren't that many choices because it's like you're going through a level just to find another level where we can go through. There might be a few choices, like for example in what's it called? In Demon Souls, where you can choose whichever archstone you want to go through first. But you still have to go through them archstone by archstone, like level 1, level 2, level 3. Here, you can technically ignore certain levels and circumvent them by going another path, or by taking another path. Whatever. World design wise, what is telling us this place? Still a lot of war preparations. Like the tents over here, tents over here. They burned down the Morph ruins. They've besieged the keep over here, the Black Keep. They've destroyed the church. Maybe not. A bunch of conquest. Still nature standing, which is nice. a few forts here and there, like the Misbegotten standing around us. It's still somewhat like, not, what do I want to say? Unclear on which side the Misbegotten are. They're probably on the side of the Hornsend. Probably. Because, like, they also have horns, but who knows? Maybe they're not. Probably. They probably are. But yeah, world design wise, it's a plateau with a bunch of landmarks scattered on top. Each of the landmarks might tell their own story. But yeah, I'm kind of struggling with that world design thing. It's nothing that we haven't seen so far. But there will be new things to come, especially down here or in the keep. This is just a place in between places, right? So, let me know what you think about this area. Do you find it forgettable, or do you enjoy exploring these empty areas? Not empty areas, these big areas with a few landmarks scattered in between, or do you prefer dungeons like the Black Keep, for example, or Castle Ensis, where it's more the Dark Souls kind of approach instead of the Elden Ring, the open world approach? Or do you like the balance that they have struck in this game? Because we still have Dark Souls. But we also now have Elden Ring with this big area, if you know what I mean. Let me know if you like this balance of open world and dungeons, or if you prefer everything to be one big legacy dungeon, basically, like Dark Souls, like the Dark Souls series. I certainly have my opinions, but I would like to know yours. Yeah, I think that's it from me. Hope you liked this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.